Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Up Your Experience podcast. It is your host, BlaiseMcBaine, as per usual. And tonight we are talking solo. And there'll be a reason why later on in the episode that there is not a guest with me tonight or one of the other fantastic co-hosts we've had over the past, couple months. But tonight I'm solo. There is a reason for it. We'll get there. And I hope everybody understands it once we get to that point. But I hope everybody is doing well. I just got done having a fantastic week of fall break off. Feel absolutely amazing to have some time just with the kids and my parents on the weekend. I came home. The kids stayed with the grandparents. I got to chill with my wife the entire week, pretty much. We went and got to see a movie. We got to go to Dave & Buster's, go out to eat, have some nice lunches and dinners, play some video games together. It was an absolute blast just having some time to ourselves. Clocked a really good 3.5 mile run on Friday before going to pick the boys back up. And then we had a great weekend. So overall, just had a nice chill week, which is what was needed. Not getting hammered with questions, having to teach. And I was working like crazy before fall break. So it's nice to be back, kind of still a little bit busy, heading into regionals next week for cross country. So I am still a bit busy, but getting to some normalcy and a little bit more calm, which is definitely something that I needed going into fall break. So we have some games to talk about this week. I actually didn't pull up my Smite Guru. I meant to because I wanted to have some stats from those games. But we'll hop right into kind of what we've been playing this past week. Probably won't be there too long, I'd suppose. On Monday, I did some Smite scrims with the Do We Belong team. We won both games early and lost them late. I started off at one point, I think I was like 4-0 and 3 or something like that. I was popping off in the jungle. I had like a 3-level lead on the enemy Kali. Absolutely just dominant performance early. And then we just threw late. Some missed calls, some predictability on our part. Some not listening to each other, and that comes down to something that I'm doing, but also that other players are doing. Like it's just a problem. We'll get over it hopefully as we progress. I am new to the team, so there's still some issues there. And then I slammed some Overwatch queues with I believe Asmore afterwards, and possibly Embright. On Tuesday, I went out with Katie. We went out to go to the dentist. I found out I get another crown that we had no idea about until I went for my cleaning, and then I go for regular cleanings, along with some other shenanigans at the dentist I'm not going to get into. And then we went to Dave & Buster's, saw Barbarian, went out to eat at Chewy's, just had an awesome day. And then got home, played some Smite at night, fragged out, but lost every single game. I think I was on like a 12-game losing streak or something like that, maybe 14 with the scrims. It was abysmal. It didn't matter what I did. I was just hard losing games. From 7 days ago, today's Monday, so I played Mulan, went 2-7-2. That was in a slash. Played Kabrak in a slash, went 3-9-5. Played Cupid in a slash, went 6-8-12. Normal Conquest, tried Mulan Jungle, got absolutely bodied. Normal Conquest, played Lancelot. Actually started off the game incredible, and then our ADC went away. I had a plenty of issues where we were queuing into games where we had players go AFK, or they'd get super toxic and then just AFK. It was just strange. After the Lancelot game, things kind of turned around as far as like team behavior of randoms that we were having. But again, lost on Loki, Ishtar, Kenny requested Nemesis, got bodied on Thor, Charybdis, Uller. Just absolutely bodied. Shoutouts to Kenny for losing us the Uller game though, because I think it wasn't that game. Never mind. That's on me. No, I take it back. Shout out to Kenny for losing me the Charybdis Arena game where he trolled and didn't end the game. He didn't help us in the game. He trolled me so hard. And we were all trolling each other, but like Kenny literally, I think, let one of us die. So my losing streak continued on. I finally won a game queuing with Embright on Kepri because I got support. And I built this just not okay Kepri build with lots of health. I went 3-3-16. And that's when my losing streak of 12 games in a row was busted, and I finally started winning some games. So, needless to say, Smite was pretty rough. The rest of my week in Smite, I'll get to the set in a minute, but I went like 13, 2, and 9 on Pele, 11, 6, and 14 on Erlang. I mean, I was popping off. We did the Guardians mental health event, which was a marathon stream Saturday and Sunday. My block was from 8 to 10 p.m. EST. And I had King Arthur's spin to win wheel of fate, where if you donated $5 or any increments of $5, each $5 got you a roll on the wheel. And I gave a free roll just to start off the night. And I went 13, 5, and 9 on Hachiman. We won the game, and I could not use relics that game. And then we played Assault, and we won that one. Then I had a Uller game, shout outs to Vio, where he got to pick my god. I could not use abilities, could not use relics, and I got a randomizer build. The build, just for everybody's understanding, was Mannequin's Mace, Rage, Shadowsteel Shuriken, Deathbringer, Midgardian Mail, and a Glad Shield. But it was Uller with no abilities. And I did top damage on the team, is all I have to say. And then Kenny 1v1'd me in a duel where I was blindfolded and I was Dons and Burrow, and I misbought the wrong mace, and I lost really, really hard, which is to be expected, to be fair. But we had a good time. We ended off the night in an arena and in a conquest. I played Amaterasu for the last arena. I was trying to get a Penta. I was like, if I get a Penta, I'm going to make an awesome donation with it. And then I didn't get the Penta, unfortunately. I got a quad on Amaterasu, which felt pretty good. And we won that game. And then we played a game of Ranked Conquest where I went 1-1 and 17 on Yamoja. It turns out I'm a really good support player. I think even my win rate on Guardians is actually pretty good from what I've cruised through over the week. Along with that, we played a bunch of all-out slashes, which included I solo queued and played 4 Kusambos and a Horus, and we won that game. Then we had all new Oz on both teams except for Vio on Baron, which was not a fun time for anybody involved, at least on our team. And then we queued into, what was it? We were against 5 Raws. We had 2 Vulcans, 2 Hercules, and I forgot what Vio picked. We won that game. It was hard, but we won it. We played it several all-out slash, had a good time with me, Vio, and Azamor. So overall, Smite ended up turning into a fun time. Along with that, we also attempted some uber casual Smite 5B bot speedrun event. Leaf Warrior had DM'd me. His time was 5:57 for the taking down the Titan. And we tried, and we kept getting so close with various iterations of gods and relics and builds. And we kept getting so close to beating 5:57, and we'd make like one small mistake at the beginning or one small mistake at the end or die to the Titan. And we finally gave up after 2 straight hours of trying that. So needless to say, it was a fun week in Smite. We did play our AGL set on Wednesday, I believe. Let me look. Yeah, Wednesday. I played Gilgamesh both games. The first game, it was pretty okay. I went like 2, 3, and 10. We worked really well as a team. We kind of just ran it down. And the second game, I came out with a vengeance because I was, for lack of better words, I was pretty pissed off based off of some comments in between games. I'll be completely honest about that. I have no problem saying that to anybody. My teammates had some stuff to say about it after the set, not towards me. But I was pretty pissed off between the set. Like, I was muted. I didn't talk until the game started, and I came out with a plan to stomp the enemy team, and I did. I went like 8, 3, and 11 or something like that on Gilgamesh. Really just kind of ran the game. Throughout the week, I also did some daytime streams on Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday, which was a good time. Played some Overwatch, played some Smite. Just had overall, really, really good time. I really enjoyed this week. I played Overwatch, got play of the game as far by myself in a ranked game. I played ranked with Gilly. It was Gilly, Azamor, and Vengeance, I believe. We had a 4 stack, didn't have a complete 5. And we had a couple rough games. We did win a ranked game, though. And then we just had, it was just a good week of gaming. I had a lot of fun in Overwatch. The game is just good. And I don't know, I'm excited about some changes. Oh, I do need to say this. This is a public service announcement for last week's episode. Me, Embright, and Azamor were completely wrong about Zarya. That champion is cracked, and we didn't realize it until we played against it literally later that night, and we've seen it almost like every game since. We just got absolutely stomped by Zarya's, and she's getting nerfed because she's so good. So shout outs to us for being completely wrong about that. And that was pretty much the week. Just a lot of Smite, a lot of Overwatch. I attempted to play some Final Fantasy, Stranger's Paradise, but I need to lower the difficulty. I'm getting bodied. And then we did a Smite patch review for the new patch coming out tomorrow, actually. So if you're listening to this episode on Tuesday, October 18th, Maui, the hero of Hawaii, will be out. And this is a perfect transition into some of our gaming news here that I want to talk about a few things I'm interested in with the patch. So try to keep games of the week pretty short. Let's hop right into the Smite patch. You can go check out the YouTube video. I go through the entire patch, all the abilities, all the nerfs, the changes. I did a very comprehensive breakdown this time around. If you enjoyed this iteration of the patch breakdown more than the other ones, please let me know. If there's something you'd like to see in those, let me know. There'll be a link for it in the description of this episode, so you can go check that out. I break down all of Maui's kit. He has cleave autos, and he has a sweet rope that he does all of his attacks with the hook. He gets a pull once he gets his passive built up. He has a pull with his one. He has, what else does he have? His 2 lets him throw out a fish that causes an aura buff for everybody. But then if you walk in the little pillar before it goes away, it transports you to Maui. He has a super sweet swing where he like hooks the sun and swings back and forth. And then he has one where he pulls up an island and it knocks them back towards him. I mean, it's just a really cool kit. There's some super sick skins coming, like Cinderfall Morgan Le Fay from Ruby, voiced by Jessica Nagiri. They have Toonie Terracilla coming, along with Bloody Moon Nox. And I think this Blazing Torment Sylvana skin looks really good, along with Darkest Night Xbalanque. If you have seen Final Fantasy VII Dirge of Cerberus, it gives me those type of vibes, the card art for Darkest Night Xbalanque. We're also getting Chibi Thor November 1st. So keep an eye out for all that good stuff. But some things to keep note of is the Smite Night for this weekend has a Hoth music pack and avatars, like special event going on with the Corrupted Arena map with all metal skins. So check that out. They announced the Reaping event. They also gave new emblems for Root and Mesmerize on your bar for debuffs. So check out that. And then they made a drastic change to beats that it can now be used during pre and post fire, leaps, dashes, and other channeled abilities, and during untargetable or other immunities. So Beads gets a huge buff. Should feel a lot better. Keep an eye out for that. There are several other changes that are coming through as far as nerfs and buffs, like Bancross is finally getting nerfed. Mana Core Spike is going to cost a little bit more. Thor's wall is going to do damage now. Just several things to keep out for. Herc tier buffs, all sorts of fun stuff. We see Soul and Morgan Le Fay getting buffed, Yanis getting buffed, and Charybdis, Ishtar. Overall, a really good patch. Like I said, go check out the YouTube video if you want to, see more in-depth things. Other than that, other gaming news that is going on around the gaming sphere, we have for Ninja, his wife, Jessica Blevins, has been managing him for the past 7 years. Basically, the whole time he's been competing when he was competing in Halo, when they were dating, all the way up till now, through everything he's gone through up to this point, along with Team Ninja. It's a huge change for him. Is she is stepping down as the manager. Nothing to really say about it, as she just wants to look at other, see what's next for her and other opportunities. But she will still be part of the merch sales and developing merch and those things. She's just taking a step back from managing him full time. Along with that, if you guys remember G4 TV from back in the day, it was reintroduced last year as a Twitch stream, YouTube, all that good stuff. Had several content creators on there, but it is being shut down. Comcast has basically, effective immediately as of yesterday, October 16th, has shut down G4 on all platforms, and it will no longer be up, which is kind of crazy because I thought it was doing at least decently, but I guess it wasn't making the numbers they wanted. And I mean, I don't really think they gave themselves a lot of time for growth or did a really fantastic job advertising and promoting this. Um, Not surprised to see this happening, but at the same time, I'm a little bit surprised with as much work as they put in finding some content creators and hosting what they did. I think they could have done something if they just put a little bit more work into it, but is what it is. Along with that, if you guys know, Bayonetta 3 is coming out, in the next week and a half. It does not have the original Bayonetta voice actor. She has come out, and her name is Helena Taylor. She has come out to talk about how she's been trained, actor for a very, very long time, and that they only offered her $4,000 to voice all of Bayonetta 3. And that is absolutely abysmal for a game that makes as much money as it does. And she has asked people to boycott the game. I don't know if there people are going to go as far as that, but I do understand why she's disgruntled. And we should be paying voice actors well, especially when these games do as well as they do. Obviously, I understand there's a lot of working pieces to this. There's the development team. There's all sorts of stuff that go with it. There's the social, the marketing, all that good stuff. I get it. But she's the voice of the character, helps bring that character to life. I just think that's for as much hours as she'd spend recording, I don't think that's very great, to be completely fair. I mean, what does that pay? Like 2 months worth of rent in a lot of places, along with, utilities, maybe food. I just think for as much time as you're putting into that, it's not very good. But I'm not going to get too much into that. I don't know a lot about how much people are making for voice acting strictly off of, I know there's like union voice actors, non-union voice actors. So I don't know if that's playing a part in some of this. We talked about that before with the difference in Smite's voice actors they were using. So I'm not sure if that's kind of what's going on, but things to think about. We talked about Sliker before. Sliker was a streamer on Twitch that was gambling a lot of money. He was asking people for money. He basically scammed people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and still hasn't been banned on Twitch, by the way. But XQC and Ludwig, two other streamers, helped basically pay every victim of the scams back. The near total of that was $250,000. An extraordinary amount of money, but it's really nice to see some of these people be able to give back and help when stuff like this happens, even though I think Twitch does need to take some responsibility for allowing this to go on as long as it did and not banning the idiot. But, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Along with that, we've seen a lot in going with more Twitch news. If you follow any content creator at this point, you've probably seen the amount of money they're being incentivized to get for running different ad times and streaming a certain amount of hours a month. I mean, depending on who you follow, depends on the numbers you've seen. Some of them are pretty astronomical. If you run, 6 minutes of ads every hour and you stream 190 hours a month or whatever, whatever crazy numbers it is. And they're like, you'll get, $50,000, $25,000. It's like, holy smokes. Like, that's a large sum of money. You're talking about an amount of money that is some people's income for an entire year off of ad revenue, which is just wild. And obviously I know that existed, but just seeing it like on the screen, is a little bit insane. But there is one streamer at his Watson has pledged that he's going to give money back to gamers in need. That's what he's going to use his ad revenue for. And I think that's pretty awesome. Shout outs to him for doing that. And I hope he sticks with it. Following more news about monies, we have found out that the Halo pro scene, HCS, which was making a huge wave for offering crowdfunding prize pooling, which if you don't know, like, is a huge, like, any game that does that gets these astronomical prize pools. The fans love it. The pros love it. It gets everybody invested. And Smite actually, I think, did this their first season for Worlds and hasn't done it since. And I've seen some pros talk about it before, but Halo was drawing a lot of attention for offering this crowdfunding for World Championship. And they announced that the prize will stay at $1 million and they're no longer going to do crowdfunding. which I think is absolutely insane. They've had players already come out and say like this is a absolute disappointment. Like they wouldn't have switched over from games they were playing because the other games were more lucrative. And it's just disappointing to see Halo it had a positive impact in this way as far as esports goes, despite everything else that's happened with Infinite. And making this wave in the esports scene be like, hey, you know, crowdfunding is great, brings more in for the players, brings more in for the fans' investment, blah, 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 blah. And for them to kind of just be like, yeah, we're not going to do that. It's a big feels bad, in my opinion. And speaking about more money things, we talked about this with Overwatch. This is my one negative about Overwatch that we talked about last week. And that is, and I've talked about the week before actually too, was my concern about monetization with the game. And I brought it up last week that skins in Overwatch 1 now costing like $17 in Overwatch 2 for a legendary skin. That's kind of ridiculous if you own the first game to be charged this kind of money. It's ridiculous to be charged this amount of money either way for a legendary skin that you literally can't see the whole skin of because it's a first person game. The only way you see your skin is emoting. But I digress. If you were to buy every cosmetic in Overwatch 1 with Overwatch coins, the total price for everything from every cosmetic from Overwatch 1 would be $10,226. Now, we've talked about Diablo Immortal and its problems by Blizzard, and it's a mobile game, and it kind of has this system of like getting your gem and upgrading your gem, and like there's a chance, blah blah blah. Like it's not a great system, and it's very scammy. Overwatch isn't that way, at least, but they are like, hey, you're gonna pay for the skins. And it just seems a bit ridiculous. Like if I owned Overwatch 1, I could have unlocked all these things that I played Overwatch 1 constantly through loot boxes in some way, shape, or form. But I shouldn't be punished for not unlocking and buying those skins and being charged this sort of money. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous and slightly concerning. That we're seeing, again, Blizzard kind of getting called out about monetization. And if they're going to do it, you know, who's going to be next doing it with these type of fees? I don't see it being a sustainable market. Despite me liking the game a lot, I do think this is a problem. On with more Overwatch news, we are getting a bug fix for people getting too low of a rank in competitive. They had a bug that everybody was basically placing bronze 5 or something like that. So that should be fixed. That was something they were working on. They're also looking to drop a patch with nerfs to, I believe, Genji, Zarya, and I forgot who the other 2 champions were off the top of my head, but there are 4 nerfs coming through there based off of champions that were just playing at a very high level and competitive. So there is all that. Sorry, I had to get a sip of my peppermint mocha I made before recording tonight. So here's where, I don't know, the next, however long it takes me to get through this, maybe 10 minutes, I don't know. Might get a little bit soapboxy. I'm going to talk about some IRL experiences that may make some listeners feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I want to preface a couple things. I'm going to briefly talk about something that happened on King Richard's stream that deals with racism in video games. I'm also going to talk about, if you've been following the Amaranth news, I'm gonna briefly talk about what's going on there. I'm not going to get too crazy into that. I want to preface that I am bringing the things up that I'm bringing up from my own personal experiences. I am not looking for anybody's sympathy on these matters. But I want to offer that from my perspective, things I've seen in my life that fit the bill and that are not okay. And these are things that sometimes and I'll give an example when I go through this. Actually, I'll give an example now. I probably talked about it on the podcast last year when I was teaching. I had a student say something racist. And he actually didn't do it on purpose when he said it. He was reading through jokes, and he read a joke, didn't realize exactly what it meant, and I literally sat him down and talked to him about it. It's the same thing that if I see if I see a male student or just a man in general out in a public talking to a woman a certain way, like I have no problem saying something. I think sometimes making that intervention cuts it out, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you have a friend or a friend of a friend and they say crazy stuff about, whether it's racism, it's sexist, it's just things that are not okay and uncomfortable. I think we as people have the right and opportunity to make a positive change. I think we have a duty in some sorts to say something and hopefully change that person's perspective, even if it's to change their perspective while other people are around. And that's the only time it does it. At least it makes other people more comfortable. But, to get people to change their perspective and understand the implications of the things they're saying is important. So I'll start with the King Richard thing. For those that don't know, I'm going to talk a little bit about my real life experiences and some things I may not have talked about on stream. I'm always happy to talk about it in Discord anytime anybody wants to talk about real life stuff or just have a chat, anytime. But I felt the need to talk about this tonight for some reason. And this is why there's not a guest. I didn't want to make a guest uncomfortable. I didn't want to be like, hey, do you want to come on the podcast, talk games, talk news, but then let's talk about racism and abuse. I think that's not necessarily that it's a hard sell, but I don't want my words to make someone else uncomfortable or them feel the need to take on my personal belief on the matter. So first things first, I obviously, if you watch streams, I'm white. I'm 13 different ethnicities, to be honest. I think over a quarter Native American, something like that. None of that matters at all. None of that matters. I went to Tennessee State University. Tennessee State University is a historically black college or university community. And I got a scholarship called the Minority Scholarship. It is the same as a presidential scholarship. It is now called the Building Bridges Scholarship. But I got that scholarship because I had the same GPA and I just happened to be white. That's what it comes down to. And I went there. I experienced, when I would go out with friends, other people being racist towards them. And it was disgusting. It was not okay. I remember us going to a mall. We all had our TSU shirts on. It was me and 4 of my African American friends. Several of them were actually, groomsmen at my wedding. Love those guys. And we're out and about, and people are giving us like ugly looks, kind of like, why are they here? And just different stuff like that. Some people said stuff, and it's just like witnessing that firsthand doesn't feel good. Watching what happened to King Richard on stream, or I've watched other streamers over the past week have this happen to him on stream. Unfortunately, they're all playing Apex. Not that says anything about Apex. This happens to be the game they're all playing. But this is the reason I don't leave voice comms on, man. Like, it is a crazy place to be. It is not okay. Just because you're behind a screen doesn't give you the right to say crazy stuff. All right. We all sit down at a video game, whether it's to be competitive, whether it's to play a single player game, whether it's to just socialize. The goal that we're all there for is to have fun and escape reality for a little bit. Maybe get our mind off some things, have some fun with some friends. And this type of behavior of saying something, and this is a quote from that stream, is we are, I guess one of them said, we're all created equal. And the other person said, no, F that BS. What? That's not okay. That is something that shouldn't ever be said. And if we're sitting here and we're allowing this type of behavior, it's not okay. if and I stand by that. If I hear something like that in my classroom, I mean, those people are going to admin. But I have no problem talking to those people and talking to their whole entire class about it, and the rest of my classes about it, because the fact of the matter is, someone has to say something. And if the reason that I get in trouble is because I called someone out for saying something racist, like, believe me, I'm completely cool with that. So I think due diligence wise, and you guys have heard of me talk about this on the podcast before. I'll call people out in text chat all the time on Smite. Say some crazy stuff to me in Smite or my teammates, or I don't care if I know my teammate. You best believe I'm be like, yo. I said something last week. Like, I was like, yo, I'm conducting a survey. You're talking negative to people. Does that help them play better? Yes or no? I have no problem getting smart with people and saying something back. I think it's important to say something back to people that are super toxic. I think it means a lot to do that, because it allows them to know they're not going to go unchecked. And I think that's really important for people behind a computer screen, because a lot of times they're like, oh, I'm behind a computer screen, there's nothing's going to happen. No one's going to say anything to me. I don't know. Takes 2 seconds to type something. Now, on to the more controversial bit. Amaranth streamed the other night. She revealed that she's not single. She has a husband, and she's in an abusive relationship. If you listen to the VOD that was released, the guy just sounds absolutely erratic. He's trying to get her to think that she's wrong, get her, confuse her, really manipulative, emotional abuse, and threatening to kill dogs, evict her, keep all her money. She showed text messages. She talked about how he asked her to say that she's single because it's better for her OnlyFans and for streaming. She shows where he is like kicked doors in and pulled the locks off the doors. I mean, just crazy stuff. And of course, there's always gonna be people being like, it's for clout, it's for this, it's for that. She can get out of the situation super easily. I mean, there's just all sorts of weird takes on it. And again, this is one of those situations where I want to talk about something that kind of talks my perspective on this. And I know being a male and having a perspective on this is sometimes difficult, but I just want to preface kind of what I saw as a child to kind of help people understand that maybe don't, why it's hard to get out of these situations, and what that manipulation means, how to, what all happens. And if that changes someone's opinion, cool. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But I grew up, my parents divorced when I was about 5, almost 6 years old. And my mom was in a relationship after the divorce. Oddly enough, her current husband, my stepfather, who adopted me after my dad passed, has the same first name as her ex-boyfriend. It's really hard for me to get over at first, but is what it is. And she was in a relationship that was abusive and manipulative, and I witnessed it on all sorts of different accounts. The guy, for the most part, was always super nice to me. But for instance, he would take all of my mom's money. My mom worked as a bartender at the time. He would take all of her money, and he would leave us either gift cards or something else, like a gift card to a restaurant to eat, or like, I don't remember what it was called, a gift certificate to a place. I don't remember. But he would so we couldn't even go and pick where we wanted to eat. Like, we were like, literally, this is the food we could have because that's the only place we had money to. He was abusive. I remember my mom, she went to go pick something up from from our old apartment or something when she was trying to get away from him. And she went to pick something up because her friend was over there that was a guy. And she's like, whatever you do, don't get out of the car. I'll be back in a few minutes. And I remember this vividly, where I was like, man, it's been a while. And it'd probably been like 10 minutes, but I was like, something just didn't sit right with me. And I was probably like 8. And I walked in and he had her picked up by the throat. And I remember confronting him and telling her that he needed to let her go. And I ran out back to the car after that because I was 8 and terrified. But he did let her go because he saw me. And this relationship continued over time. But one night I was at my dad's, um, and that boyfriend attempted to murder my mom. He chased her with a gun. Luckily, he missed the few shots that he took. Luckily, my aunt and uncle lived down the street on my dad's side, so she found a place to stay while waiting for police. I mean, but it's a scary situation, and I remember as a kid how difficult it was for my mom to get out of that situation, the manipulation that was happening, physically and mentally, the fact that he'd be super nice to me, but then he was like, terrible to my mom. And I remember all those things. And it's not so easy as like, oh, you can just get out, especially when they have like your account information, which is an Amaranth's case. They have your account information. They have all this other information, and they have their names on all the different accounts and lines and all that kind of stuff. And luckily for my mom, that wasn't the case. But like he did have control of several assets because my mom got paid in tips. So it's not like she could go straight to the bank after bartending. And I just remember how difficult it was in seeing the manipulation and the abuse. And I think people could really use a reality check when it comes to that. It's not as easy as just being able to get away. Some of those people stalk. To go further on that, when my dad passed away and I had to go back to that town, I needed to get an inhaler because I was having an asthma attack. I was having a really hard time, had a lot of, I guess, anxiety and nervousness about having to speak at my dad's funeral and, trying to figure out how he passed and that kind of stuff. And that guy actually was standing behind me at the pharmacy, and my mom didn't say anything to me because she knew that I would have lost it. And because he'd heard that my dad passed, and he just had been on the lookout, stalking about after he got out of jail. So it's not so easy to get away from those things. And I just think that we could all use a moment of, clarity and thoughtfulness and hopefulness that people could be better. If you know people that are acting like this, please, please, please try to help them get help. Because they need help too. Like, they're in the wrong when they're the abuser and the manipulator. They need to go talk to somebody if you can get them there and realize that they have a problem. They need to be able to talk to somebody, because a lot of times they're not going to listen to whoever their partner is, and they're not going to listen to family. It's hard to get them to go talk to somebody. But if you could, or if you could confront them like I did when I was 8 years old, maybe that changes just one situation. And this isn't something I really ever talk about. I spent a good amount of time today thinking about this, and did I want to talk about it? How was I going to talk about it? Could I have a guest on the episode? And I really just wanted to take a minute and kind of share kind of where some of my thought process come from. And that if I could see that as a kid and how hard it was to get away from as a kid, that maybe that puts in some perspective how hard it is for an adult to get away from it. When the kid notices it's bad, maybe then it puts into perspective for a few people that as an adult, maybe it's even harder. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of end that part there. Sorry to bring people down. That's not what we're here for on the podcast. I did mention earlier, that's why I wanted to, I gave kind of a statement ahead of time. I didn't want to necessarily, I don't want people to feel bad for me. That's not what I want at all. Because in the grand scheme of things, that part of my life's over. I've learned a lot for it. I think I'm a better person for it. But learning that it can happen to anybody and at any time in their lives, and they can see it or they could be in it, and you can make a difference trying to interrupt it is very important. And I've interrupted several situations that I think are bad, that have ended up helping in the grand scheme of things. And it's hard to do. Sometimes it's a gut reaction. Sometimes you have to be a little bit drastic with how you approach those situations, but in the grand scheme of things, you know that you're trying to make a positive difference. That's the end of the gaming news this week. To kind of lighten it up, we're going to hop into some names of the week to kind of bring us back into a fun and positive end here. There's a lot, so we are going to rattle these off as fast as possible. We have It's Bacon Face. These are all by Mbright. It's Bacon Face, Granny Style, Sneaky Squid. And then I had Pumpkin Pies, Danny Phantom, just spelt like it was in Smite a couple weeks ago, so that's pretty cool. Daddy Roadhog, Valkyrie King, Thick and Creamy, Memes, Young Goblin, Pimp Chimp, Shiny Pants. Ash Basham said he had someone named Ryzen 7 5800X. And then from Smite, I had Fappuccino 69, Odorless Socks, Kenny the Tiger OG. And then we had Shadow Lugia, Phil McCracken, Egg Suck, September Storm, Green Gunner, Hubba Bubba, and the Lone Oof-er. We had Margarine Glob. We had Gumbo Muncher, Wyvern Rider, Mythostorms, In My Plums, One Lonesome Bagel. Holy dude. And then Ash came back with Lost in the Sauce as one. And then we had Neath VT submitted by Mbright. So some good names of the week. And as we wrap the episode up, and I'm losing my voice here for a second, so I can go and pop on the stream for a little bit. I want to do some shout outs. First of all, shout outs to Dare Drop. They have a bunch of streaming content available. There's a link for them in the description. Make sure to check them out. We have a bunch of games we're actually going to try this week. We are going to be trying Requiem, A Plague Tale. We're going to be trying out No More Heroes 3. And we're going to be trying out No Place for Bravery. If we get through those Dare Drops, we have some others we're going to try as well. So make sure to go check them out over at daredrop.com. I'm a Daredevil. I'm one of their ambassadors. I think we're putting something together kind of special, hopefully in the next week. So I'm pretty excited about that. Shout outs to the Simpy for Senpai podcast, where you can get all your anime fun times and needs over from Ash Basham, Psychotics, and the rest of the crew over there. And then last but not least, shout out to Guardians Mental Health, as this weekend, I was part of the marathon stream group that went on from Saturday to Sunday. Our goal was to raise $5,000. We raised $4,265 for the veterans mental health kits that will be going out to 400 and 20-ish people. That's how much we raised funds for. I mean, I'm sure we'll get more than that out, but really excited to get those sent out. I got mine the other day, and there's a bunch of great resources in there, so make sure to go check out that. I think there's an update to the app coming out soon as well. The Guardians Mental Health app you can find on iOS and your iPhones in the App Store. So go check those out as well if you need any type of mental health needs. And as always, this is your host, BlaiseMcBaine. Thank you all for all the support. Thank you for sticking with me for, the past, I think this is episode 80. I'm not entirely sure. The past 80 episodes. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. Bye.